What will consumers and investors be looking for at Apple's announcement on Tuesday? We'll tell you here on Digits. I'm Simon Constable. We've got Wilson Rothman of the Wall Street Journal. He's the personal technology editor, and he joins us now from San Francisco. There he is. Thanks for being there, sir.
Thanks very much, Simon.
As with all things Apple, this is much anticipated and they design it that way. You've somehow managed to boil this down to three things that we need to look out for, or that other people will be looking out for. Let's start with number one, the new iPhone.
That's right. Well, there are actually going to be two iPhones. Both of them will be substantially larger than the one that's out now. So expect for one with a 4.7-inch screen and another that's kind of bordering in the phablet range. It'll have a 5.5-inch screen, which by some standards was comically large just a few years ago.
Okay, so that's the first thing about the iPhones, and we know about iPhones. We know more or less what they're going to do. This will be interesting to see if it actually goes beyond what we expect. The smartwatch, we've heard a lot about this, and we've seen nothing.
Right. Well, you know, a lot of the competitors to Apple have released their versions. There's most recently the Moto 360, and of course LG and Samsung have been in this market for a little while. But Apple's going to, you know, we expect Apple to kind of hit it really hard, come at it saying this is really what a smartwatch should be about, which means they have to balance a lot of things. It's got to be smaller than the competitors, it's got to have better battery life than the competitors, and it's got to do more that people want it to do. That's been a real challenge for Google and its Android Wear partners.
And we haven't actually seen anything of this, and frequently we've seen sort of parts and things or photos of parts for phones leaked, but nothing on this.
Right, this is kind of like searching for the Yeti in the woods, because Apple has not yet begun mass production of the device. A lot of leaks happen when parts kind of fall off the assembly line, so to speak. But Apple hasn't, we expect it to begin production towards the end of this year and ship in early next year. So while they may announce it tomorrow, and they probably will, we won't be getting one in our hands to try out and use maybe for another few months.
Okay, now to the investor front. Apple is an enormous company. How do they move the needle? I mean, basically, investors want them to move the needle with any new products on the earnings and stuff, but how do they do that?
Well, you know, there are different aspects here, right? One, you know, they've been falling a little bit in market share on the smartphone front, so these new smartphones need to address both the luxury end, but also how to kind of grow market share across the board. That's one thing investors will be looking for. How are they going to kind of come back and push back Samsung and its competitors from China on smartphone. Now, as far as smartwatch, obviously investors in Apple look for new product categories. The iPad's a classic example of inventing something out of nothing. This smartwatch could easily be one of those new billion-dollar products, but again, it's funny, people have not responded with so much zeal to previous smartwatches. So how Apple addresses it will be a real defining moment.
And Wilson, on the wristwatch situation, basically since the beginning of World War I to the late 90s was the era of the wristwatch. And the moment people could get away without wearing a wristwatch, they did. I don't wear one. A lot of people I know don't wear a wristwatch. Why would I want to go back to using one when I didn't have to? And that's got to be one of the questions, hasn't it?
That's key. It's very key. One of the biggest reasons is how often do you find yourself pulling the phone out of your pocket just to check the time, let alone all these other things. If a smartwatch does its job, it keeps that phone in your pocket, it keeps it in your bag, keeps it away from you where you can technically enjoy the rest of your life. But of course, if your wrist is buzzing constantly from all those notifications, you won't enjoy much of anything.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be getting one of these, or maybe I'll have to be converted. Thank you very much.
Right.
Wilson Rothman, tech editor, personal technology tech editor at the Wall Street Journal. We appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you, Simon.
I'm Simon Constable. That's it.